Hi, I'm Lars, and welcome to This Old Mine.
Turn that off and get to work!
Jeez, I never get to have any fun. Welcome to This Old Mine. Here's a picture of the mine back in the 1800s. The only structure that still exists is the well, which is just behind the stable. I'm taking you on a tour of the grounds today, so let's hop on the rusty old mule. No, not that one. That's better, thank you. And let's go for a drive. We're going to go across the Bridge of Sighs here. I call it that because I sigh every time I cross it and it doesn't collapse. Off to the left is the cabin. And I'm going to stop here for a moment and put us into overdrive. I'm sure everybody does not want to watch dirt roads go by. So we'll put it into high speed here. Kick it into ludicrous speed. Hold on tight. Our first stop is the mill site. Straight ahead is the remnants of the old roasting furnace where they used to roast the sulfide ores. Just to the right of that is where the old stamp mill used to stand. It's right about there. Unfortunately, after the ravages of weather, time, and scavengers, there's nothing left of this piece at all. Looking from above, we see the old processing laboratory. It too is gone. The only thing left is a little bit of concrete slab flooring. Well, now we're going to ride out onto the tailings pile. This is where all the dirt was dumped after it had been processed. So there's virtually no gold here. We do have a little bit of a pond up here. This is our effluence water from our hydro turbine, which sits right up on the hill. It's only 100 watts, but it does the trick. It keeps the batteries charged. Let's swing around here and try not to run over the frogs. And back up we go. Here's the concrete pad for the processing lab. Alright, let's head on out. Our next stop is going to be the lower mine portal. This lower adit runs back about 420 feet with several stopes and a raise to the surface. The raise to the surface has been blocked by wash-in over the years, so that's something we're going to have to excavate over the next few months or years. Now let's back on up and get out of here. Next stop is going to be the upper mine shaft, which is a shaft leading down to a tunnel that I'm not quite sure where it goes yet because I'm a little bit leery about going into these tunnels and shafts without having somebody with me and without having a sidearm, because there are bears, mountain lions, and rattlesnakes up here. So the last thing you want to do is step on a danger noodle or scare a bear. Okay, here we are at the upper excavation. Here's the shaft leading down. From what I'm told, it goes down 30 to 60 feet. I don't know why the big discrepancy, but wouldn't want to fall in it. On the other side of that excavation is another tunnel. Don't know where it goes either. I got some maps that show where they supposedly go, but I haven't been in them all myself, just the lower tunnel. And here's the upper diggings. If we look off to the left here, there's two shafts heading down. Supposedly these join in to the upper mine workings, the upper mine tunnel. They were probably used as haulage ways to bring the ore up from the tunnels. Off to the right, there's a cave, and I haven't been in that one either. This one looks just about the right size for a bear, so that's why we stay out of them. We'll give them plenty of room for now. Now I do have an RC four-wheel drive kind of thingy that I'm going to set up with a camera so we can drive into these tunnels, shafts, and such, so that we can explore them without putting ourselves at risk. Right now we are on our way up to the spring where we get our water from. It's approximately 180 feet above camp level, so we have about 80 psi of water. And this is about as far as we can drive, so from here on out, we have to foot it. Got to watch out for snakes along here. And watch out for these plants. They are very pokey and sharp. Don't know what they're called. I think they're yuccas, but we'll give them a clear berth. You can tell we're almost there. My footsteps have slowed down a bit. I'm getting a little tired. But here we are, a little catch basin. Look at all that nice fresh water. Nice clear green color too. Yum. So this is where we get our water from. We don't drink it. We just use it for processing the gold and washing our hands. The bears love it though. They'll come up here from time to time and take a bath in the pond. And here's the main reason I came up, was to make sure that our intake pipe is clear and is able to take in water. It's like stirring up a soup. I like green algae. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do about that. That's just nature's way of growing stuff. Now, over the winter, we had quite a bit of rain, some snow, then some more rain, and the pond filled up with all this gravel here. Looking at about 3 tons of gravel that my wife and I had to dig out. And while we're up there, you got to keep an eye on these rocks. Like I said, there's lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. You got to make sure they're not watching down on you, getting ready to pounce. Up on the rocks and in the brush here, you never know what's going to be waiting for you. Could be a Yeti in there too, for all I know. Last thing you want to be is somebody's dinner. Now I'm starting to creep myself out, so I'm going to hot-foot it out of here. If you look closer, you'll see 3 pipes. The top one is the original old iron pipe. The middle one, the white one, is our PVC pipe that we're currently using, and the bottom one is an old burnt one from back in the forest fire days. Right here we got some old stacked rock. This is what the miners used to do when they were prospecting in the river. They'd move the rocks up the hill and stack them up just to get them out of the way. It's also a good indication that they found something here, or why would they have bothered stacking up the rocks? Well, here we are back at the Creaky Old Mule. We'll take a time warp and jump down the road here. There's some bedrock. It's kind of a black color. Nice pools here. Some crevices. Great place to go crevicing for gold. And just above it is an old dam, which was built back in, I believe it was the 30s. They used this to get their water from. They drove a water wheel to run some of their equipment. And as you see, it's kind of silted up, full of gravel, rocks, so on and so forth. This will be a nice place to look for some gold. Well, back down the hill we go. Our next stop will be the old well. Now this well here was established back when the mine was first built. It goes down about 30 feet. It sits right next to a stream, so it gets a lot of water from the stream. We installed these weir boards on this old concrete abutment, and it brought the well water up about 1.5 feet and made us a nice little frog pond, which was immediately inhabited by several frogs. Now we don't drink the water from this well, but we do use it for fighting fires if there is ever one. And we decided we'd start up the fire pump and make sure it works. No sense in having a fire pump for a fire if it doesn't pump when there is a fire. After running for a few minutes, we looked down the well and saw it had drawn down nicely. Shutting the pump off, one thing you want to make sure you do is clear the carburetor of any fuel. So you turn off the fuel, and then throttle the choke to the point where it sucks all the gas out of the bowl. That way you're left with a nice clean carburetor for your next startup. Now you might wonder how long it takes the well to fill up with water. Here we're looking down the well and it's flowing in nicely. In fact, it only took about 10 minutes for it to refill completely. Now here's something that doesn't work. This is an old 1940s British Bulldozer, and someday we'll get to work on that and get it running again. We're not quite sure how, though. It's missing the engine. Might put an electric system on it and drive it electrically so we can use it inside the mine. The tracks are pretty roached out. It's rusted. Now this one works. This is not a construction or a mining piece of equipment, but you got to do what you got to do. Now, this is where the road on the way up had washed out during the big rains, and we had to redirect the river back into its original stream bed. Here's what it had done. Kind of left the road a little raggedy and rough. Couldn't get up here with my truck loaded with concrete and lumber, so kind of delayed us a bit. Thank goodness for my wife's four-wheel drive. It may be old, but it gets us up here. Once I pulled out all the sticks and debris out of the original riverbed, we dammed up its current flow route, which was down the road, and that has held nicely. We then graded the road, pulling out some of the big rocks, rearranging some of the small rocks, and now we have a way to get back up without having to take the four-wheel drive. I don't know if you've ever been in a little four-wheel drive Jeep loaded with concrete and lumber, it doesn't handle quite so well. Well, that's about it for today. Hope you enjoyed the tour. Complimentary refreshments will be served in the garden. And don't forget to visit the gift shop. See ya!